Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are here with Lisa at her 42-foot growing dome here in Arboles, Colorado, and she has some very unique plants growing inside that we'll show you here in just a moment. Lisa has been a dome owner for about 20 years now.
That's right.
So today we're going to be talking about what she's learned along the way, how things have kind of evolved as she has grown with her dome. So without further ado, let's go ahead and address this big machine that we have over here.
Well, 2 years ago we had a fire and we had to have the dome reconstructed. And when we had it reconstructed, we elected to put in swamp coolers instead of the normal fans that come with the standard package. And the swamp cooler, we have one on each side. They blow cool air into the dome and keep it really pretty cool in there and comfortable.
So what have been some of the most obvious benefits that you've seen from using the swamp coolers?
Well, they're relatively inexpensive to run because it's just the electricity for the fan, but the humidity that it puts into the dome, sometimes the humidity gets all the way up to 80% in there, and I have to open the doors to let some of it out. But the plants have been loving the humidity. It's been just wonderful for the plants. I've only had them about a year, but I'm already seeing the benefits in my greenhouse from the humidity.
And some of those plants that you're growing are tropical.
Yes.
So the humidity isn't an issue for those types of plants. They actually enjoy it. So
Exactly.
let's go ahead, head on inside and see some of those tropical plants. Wow, this is really amazing. What do we have going on in here?
Well, I've got my herbs over on this side: thyme, rosemary, chives, parsley, and basil. And then I've got snapdragons here and some aloe plants. The pond has water hyacinth, and this time of year they don't like the cold, so they start to turn brown, and over the winter they die back, but then in the spring they perk right up again just like they are now.
Those are huge. Those are the biggest water hyacinth I think I've ever seen.
And the fish will eat the roots.
Okay.
So they help feed the fish too. I feed the fish, but the roots help feed the fish too. The herbs are here and I use them all the time. Anytime I have a recipe that calls for thyme or chives or basil, I can just come out and pick it, and it's just awesome to have that at my fingertips fresh. Here we've got lemons, and then back farther are oranges and grapefruits. And then here I've got, this is a verbena that I planted from a cutting from a friend of mine, because I really like the color, and geraniums, and bird of paradise, which is blooming out of season for me, but I think it's a result of the swamp coolers. I think they just love the humidity, and they've been blooming all summer, which is very unusual for them. And the big plant is the avocado tree. And the tree loves the humidity, but I didn't get as many avocados this year. I think it might still be recovering from the damage.
Let's talk about that a little bit as we carry on here. So for a 20-year-old dome, this dome looks very new.
Yes, and it is. Yes, we had a fire, and the fire damaged a bunch of the supports on the east side of the dome. And so the whole dome shifted a little, which caused a lot of gaps in the panels. And the growing spaces, I called them, and they came out right away and looked at it and said, we're not going to be able to get this back where it was and retrofit the new style to the old style, because my old style was 20 years old. It had vents in the ceiling, and now I have these nice attic fans. I had shorter walls. They were 18-inch walls, and the new style is 24-inch, which I really prefer. And so they said, the best that we can do is a full replace. And the insurance company said, okay. And so I had someone take it down, and they took it down the same way that you guys put it up. They started at the top and went and took it down piece by piece, and then Growing Spaces came in with their scaffolding and their builders, and they built the new dome up over the plants and the trees and didn't damage anything. I was very impressed. And then I had another workman come in and build the planters for me. And even though we only needed to build the outside planters, I had him rebuild all the planters. And he was able to build the planters around the old planters and then set them in place and pull the old planters out. And we just filled it in with dirt around the edges. So I have all new planters and dome and new features like the swamp coolers and the attic fans, and I just love it.
These are very established trees.
Yes.
You've had these basically since the beginning
20
of the
years
dome.
old, yep.
So making sure that you minimize that root disturbance really helped to protect the integrity of the plants that you had in here.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, someone asked me one time, can we take the trees out while we build? And I was like, no, there's no way those trees are coming out.
They are part of the dome.
They are, absolutely.
Now tell me a little bit about this plant you have over here. This one had a unique story as well.
This plant, when the fire happened, this plant was badly damaged and mostly burned, but it used to fill this entire area. I couldn't get back there to where the water is without crawling in, and it came all the way out to the edge of this planter in here. So we couldn't walk around that way. And so that was a huge, huge plant. It was 20 years old, but before we took everything out, I was able to save some pieces of that plant, and it rerooted, and now it's growing again.
It's beautiful, and it's already huge.
It's already huge, yeah. Yeah, it didn't much like being temporarily put into pots and that sort of thing while we were building, but once I got it back in the planter, in the dirt, it loved it and took off. My husband used to call it the jungle because he liked those plants to be way overgrown and where you had to duck down to get under them. It just feels so, I don't know, healthy and clean in here.
So besides electricity and propane, one of the things that Lisa has run out to her greenhouse is water. And this is nice because it makes it a little bit more easy to use, easier to, water the beds and access. And it also ties into the swamp coolers. So that's what this black tube is that you see here. So besides your tropicals that you have here and the herbs on the other side, you also have some more, what I would consider more traditional
plants.
Style plants.
Yes, I've got, I tried this trellis idea this year. It was not something I had in the old dome, but I thought I wanted to give it a try. And so I planted tomato plants. I planted way too many, but I wanted it to be covered with plants. So I planted a lot of tomato plants just to make that happen. And I tried cucumbers. I had a lot of problems with roly-polies. They kept eating my cucumber seedlings, and I finally got one going and I got one cucumber, but I'll try that again next year.
It's all about trying different things.
It is
and
about
seeing
trying
what
different
works.
things, right, exactly. And I've got some pepper plants. I grew some cabbage over the winter and it did really well. And so I tried to continue that, but it didn't like the summer too much.
Too warm?
It's made a little tiny cabbage, but it just didn't like the summer.
Yeah. So you mentioned the attic fans, and before we started filming, you told me something that I thought was pretty interesting relating to the attic fans and the swamp coolers.
Oh yes, the swamp cooler is set to go off at 85 degrees. Once it hits 85, they turn off. But the attic fans have their own temperature settings, which I can control on my phone. Very nice. The attic fans, when they're on and the swamp coolers are off, they draw air through that swamp cooler and continue to bring in cool air from outside right up through the attic fans. So it stays nice and cool in here even when they're not running. To winterize it, I put this blue board in, but first I put this little tension rod in to keep it from falling in because the blue board wants to fall in. It also wants to blow out. So I put this in and the handle just helps me. And then I put this across to keep it from blowing out or at least falling out. And that was important when I had plants here. I didn't want it falling on the plants. But this works well for the winter. and it's easy and cheap. And I also have blue boards for the pollinators too, to close those off.
And so what temperature do you like to keep the dome at for your tropicals and all of your other plants?
We heat it in the winter, and we set the heaters, we have 3 of them, we set to 40 degrees. And that's been good enough. They have been fine at 40 degrees. They've even gotten down as low as 35, but I don't like for them to get that cold. But 40 degrees works, and then the swamp coolers, I have them set at 85, and it's been working.
Nice and pleasant to be in here, even in a hot day.
Even on a hot day, yeah. It can be nice and 85 in here when it's 97 outside. I have 3 of these heaters. I have 2, one on each side on the north end of the dome, and then I've got one on the south end. And we have them hooked up to a line that goes to our propane tank. So it shares propane with the house. And in the winter, we turn it on and we set it to be about 40 degrees. And since this doesn't have like a gauge that says 40 degrees, we have to kind of play with it and see over a few nights how warm it gets in here. And they'll kick on usually not till after midnight, because the heat from the day keeps it pretty warm all the way till about midnight, and then on a really cold night they'll kick on. And then in the summer we turn it off and turn off the propane, and they just stay here. They're Mr. Heater garage heaters, and I just have them hanging up here with chains. They're very easy to take down if there's a problem. And the reason I have these heaters is because I have tropical plants. The bird of paradise, all of the citrus fruit, the avocado, they all need to be kept warm in the winter or they would freeze and die. And so we heat it in the winter. Not everybody does that. A lot of people let their plants die in the winter, or they are just grow cold weather plants in the winter, but we are able to keep all of my herbs grow all year long. The pond plants stay alive. They die back, but they stay alive. So it means that I don't have to replace so many plants each year too.
So where did you get your inspiration for these beds?
I knew I needed to do something new with the beds because my old beds needed work. They were 20 years old and they had warped and were starting to fall apart a little bit. And so I went on the Growing Spaces or the Growing Dome Facebook page, and a lot of people have posted pictures of their beds and what they've done. And so I just went through the pictures and I saw this style and loved it. And so I showed it to the man who was going to build them for me, and I said, "Can you do this?" Showed him a picture and he goes, "Oh yeah, we can do that."
We're standing right here next to this lavender plant and it smells amazing.
Yeah.
What else do we have over here? We've got
Amaryllis.
Okay.
And multiple colors in that. And then that's a bell pepper plant, and that's celery.
Okay.
That was grown from a grocery store celery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
My sister was visiting and she says, "This celery is so crunchy. Did you get this at the store?" I said, "No, I grew it." And she was pretty impressed. The lemons, when, in past years when they've all ripened at the same time and I get buckets and buckets of them, I give them away. And I always get comments back on how wonderful they are, how much juicier and the thinner skinned, and just such a good taste to them. And I haven't bought lemons at the grocery store in a long, long time, but they're just wonderful fresh, and that you can let them ripen on the tree. What you buy in the store has been picked green in most cases and then ripened on its way to the store, where I can let them ripen on the tree or in the bed. If I'm talking about herbs or vegetables, everything is ripe when I pick it, and it's just fresh and wonderful to have just right on hand. I don't buy bell peppers, I don't buy herbs, I don't buy citrus fruit, I have it all.
And now we're kind of back over here by the swamp cooler, and I just wanted to kind of point something out for our viewers here. The thermostat for the swamp cooler is mounted right here next to the poly. One of the drawbacks to that is that it is in the sun. So the thermostat thinks it's getting hot quicker than it actually is.
Exactly.
So there's a little piece of shade put up here. That's one of the things Lisa had mentioned, was if she did it again, she maybe would have put the thermostat in a different location where it was shaded, so it wasn't kind of tricking the swamp cooler into turning on when it wasn't necessary.
Right. And I also have these pollinator windows, and I have 2 of them, and they're to let bees in, because since I don't have fans, the bees really have no way to get in unless I open the doors. And with the animals we have, I don't like to leave the doors open and have everything unattended. So I got these pollinators, and it has worked. I've had some bees come in, but the pollinators are too close to the evaporative coolers, and that's my fault. I told them to put them there, not thinking about the breeze and the cold and that being disturbing to the bees. So I'm thinking about maybe getting some more and putting them in areas away from the swamp coolers. I love gardening, and my husband loved gardening. And so between the 2 of us, we built this and love it. I would not trade it away and say, I don't want this anymore. I could not ever just let it go. From time to time, there will be people that want to come and look at the dome. Growing Spaces has asked me, you know, would it be all right if somebody came out and looked? And I always say, sure. And they come in and they look and they say, wow, this is so awesome. Oh, my wife would love this, or I would love this. And, you know, I have friends that come over and they're like, I wish I had this. And what I always tell them is, it's a lot of work. It's a large greenhouse. It's over 1,300 square feet. It's like a small house full of plants. And so it takes a lot of work out here. I'm out here every single day, when it's raining, when it's snowing, when it's muddy, when it's hot. I'm out here every single day. I tell people, if you love gardening, this would be perfect for you. If you're okay with gardening, you need to go smaller, something that doesn't take quite as much time, because you can't just plant this and then just enjoy it. You have to work at it. If you love gardening, this is the perfect greenhouse. I would recommend Growing Spaces to anyone. The shape, it handles the wind, it handles the weather, the sun, the reflectors, all of that works. The pond, the whole design of it is perfect, and I would recommend it to anyone.
Lisa, thank you so much for having us out here and showing us your tropical oasis that you've built here in southern Colorado. It's amazing to see in person. And if you guys would like to see more and learn more about Lisa's greenhouse, you can always check out the article that I'll have linked for you guys in the description box down below. If you like this video and you want to see more like this, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Lisa, again, thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. I'm glad you came.
We'll see you soon.